Lucy Letby, serial killer. Why did she kill? Part 5. So far, the information that has been provided still results in a disconnect between an individual who has been convicted of murdering babies and attempting to murder other ones, and the image that was projected to the world at large. It remains, is this an individual that actually had emotional empathy for the children that she cared about, and something changed caused her to murder, resulting in some switch perhaps flipping? Or were circumstances such that all of a sudden her emotional empathy was eroded? Was it the situation she found herself in, the hours that she was working, the pressure that she was under, the circumstances of dealing with children that were clinging to life, whose chances of survival were not necessarily guaranteed? Did that all take its toll on her, perhaps, and result in the diminution of her emotional empathy, pushing her to murder children? Or is it the case that she is an individual who has never had any emotional empathy, and had hitherto not demonstrated that lack of emotional empathy in any shape or form close to what she went on to reveal, and with the murder of children brought into sharp focus her complete absence of emotional empathy, which she had hitherto managed to keep hidden behind a carefully constructed facade? Well, we are going to continue to consider the evidence to ascertain what it is that Lucy Letby is, with a view to ensuring we understand, therefore, why she killed. We now turn to an important piece of evidence in relation to her involvement with a doctor. There has never been any evidence that Letby has had an intimate relationship of any note, which means that a key area of evidence for establishing what she is denied to us. Either she had those intimate relationships, and she was very good at keeping them hidden, which seems highly unlikely given the nature of the relationship that she had with her parents, and that she had friends who would have likely known whether she had an intimate partner. Or it could be that the relationships that she had that were of an intimate nature were never that serious. That's possible. Or, based upon the evidence so far, that she didn't actually have any. The absence of such relationships might support the suggestion of her being more of a loner than someone who needed the presence of an intimate partner. Or it might have been that the needs that she may have, if she is a narcissist, could actually be met from people who were not of an intimate nature. Or the absence of intimate partners is significant evidence to support the fact that she isn't a narcissist. Most narcissists tend to have intimate partners frequently. This is because the intimate partner is in essence a supermarket, one person who's easy to control, from whom fuel, character traits, and residual benefits can be obtained. And many, but not all, narcissists are often identified as a consequence of a number of factors, which include repeated intimate relationships, which are on, off, on, off. Not all narcissists, of course, subscribe to that approach, but many do. And where there is an absence of the necessity of having an intimate relationship, this either supports the individual may not be a narcissist because they don't have a reliance upon one main person for the prime aims, or it could be the case that they do need the prime aims, but they're obtaining it from elsewhere, either from intimate sources that are hidden, or, in some instances, from non-intimate sources. Commonly, a narcissist has an intimate partner primary source: husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, cohab partner. Sometimes they're hidden, and you can watch my video, The Veiled Intimate Partner Primary Source, to understand more about that. But sometimes they don't exist, and that's because the narcissist relies upon a non-intimate partner primary source. often a parent, sometimes a sibling, sometimes an adult child or an infant child, occasionally a friend, but most commonly, the non-intimate partner primary source is a parent. Given the closeness of the relationship that Lucy Letby had with her father, and the way that there was clearly a form of smothering going on in the relationship between both her parents and her, it may well be the case that if she is a narcissist, that much of her prime aim's needs were being met from her father as a non-intimate partner primary source and her mother as a non-intimate secondary source. At this juncture, that, however, is only a possibility, because we need to look at all of the other evidence to determine whether she is. Accordingly, this backdrop of not being known for having boyfriends and intimate partners is useful in making a determination. Information, however, did come forward of the suggestion that there was an infatuation with a doctor, which provides us with some useful evidence. Lucy Letby attacked and killed babies in her care to gain the sympathy of a married doctor with whom she had become infatuated, the court was told. Prosecuting counsel said she had become so obsessed with the medic, who's not able to be named for legal reasons, that she attacked the children at Countess of Chester Hospital to make herself the centre of his attention and focus. The extraordinary explanation for why Letby committed her appalling crimes was denied by the 33-year-old nurse throughout the trial. She insisted they were simply close friends. But one of the few occasions during the trial where she became visibly upset was when he walked into the courtroom to give evidence. Letby was so distressed by the sight of the harmless-looking doctor that she tried to leave the dock and only agreed to continue after a short, hushed conversation with her solicitor. Why did she react that way? Might it be that she had considerable feelings for this individual and was upset to find that he was testifying against her? Possibly. Might it be that, subconsciously, she needed to control this individual, and that when he appeared to give evidence against her, this presented a problem in that it threatened her sense of control, resulting in a response of tears, pity play, and thereafter seeking to leave the dock, i.e. to assert control by withdrawal. The prosecutor suggested that the reason for her extreme reaction was that she was infatuated with him. A raft of messages between the pair, and from Letby to her friends, shown to the court shed light on the increasingly intense nature of their friendship. In the hours before Letby attempted to murder baby N in June 2016, she told a friend she'd received a strange message from the male colleague. The nurse colleague responded, "Did you? Saying what?" followed by a second message that read, "Go commando," with a laughing emoji. A few messages later, Letby answered her friend's commando reference with 4 laughing emojis. Under cross-examination, she insisted she had no idea what the term going commando meant. That seems unlikely. Later in the messages, the friend said, "Think he likes you too," and wondered whether the doctor was being as flirty as you. Letby responded, "Shut up," before adding, "I don't flirt with him, certainly don't fancy him, ha ha, just a nice guy." Shortly after Letby travelled to Ibiza for a week-long holiday, before she returned to the Countess of Chester Hospital and attacked baby O twice on her first shift back on June 23, 2016, prosecutors accused her of deliberately sabotaging the child to get the doctor's attention because she was missing him after her time away. If this suggestion is accurate, this might support the fact that his absence threatened her need for control, resulting in her responding by triangulating the doctor with an ill child, so that the doctor would react and provide her with a response. That response would signal that the doctor was now under control and would provide her with fuel. Therefore, such behaviour, if accurate as suggested by the prosecution, may well support the fact that Letby was demonstrating the behaviour and dynamics of a narcissist. It's also worth pointing out that the doctor was married and that Letby was clearly having at very least an emotional affair with this individual, which demonstrates on her part a lack of boundary recognition, an absence of emotional empathy for the doctor's partner, his wife, a sense of entitlement to engage with him in this fashion, and a lack of accountability for her behaviour. This, of course, is somewhat at odds with the individual that has been described by colleagues and friends and her parents. But this may well be, of course, where she is exhibiting more of her actual behaviour because it was not being seen in public, and that the other behaviours may well have been part of a facade. And here, if she is a narcissist, she was exhibiting certain behaviours to control him. It's possibly the case that he might have been a narcissist and he'd ensnared Letby, causing her to have a diminution in her own emotional empathy, causing her to have an infatuation over him. After all, it didn't seem like he was telling her to stay away from him, and it appears to me that probably more happened than was admitted to. Given the amount of time that they were spending with one another and the extent of the messaging that was going on, it seems rather unusual that it just stayed as an emotional affair. It's highly likely that Letby will have maintained that it was only an emotional affair to ensure that she wasn't painted in a bad light, i.e. as a marriage breaker, and of course the relevant doctor wouldn't want to confirm that he was having a sexual or physical affair with Letby, because not only would that be problematic vis-a-vis his wife, it also meant that he was sleeping with an individual who was a murderer. He therefore would be looking to protect his own reputation. After baby O had been resuscitated, the doctor and Letby exchanged messages on Facebook. "I was glad you were there. Everything felt safe. Thank you for looking out for me," he told her. If she's a narcissist, that would suggest that he was under control and provided her with fuel. She replied, "Don't need to thank me. I'm pleased you were there. I think we work well together. Sorry for my loss of composure moment." The doctor then agrees they work well together before saying he is glad she can talk to him. Less than 24 hours later, Letby attempted to murder baby O's twin brother, baby P. Following the collapse, another doctor recalled Letby being very keen for Letby's crush, the doctor, to be called immediately. Nick Johnson, KC prosecuting, asked, "Did you enjoy being in these crisis situations with the doctor? Did it give you something to talk about and message about, something common you could share?" "No," said Letby, "the doctor and I were friends." It seems to me that the evidence suggests that they were more than friends, and that was a lie. After Letby was removed from the ward in July 2016, the couple continued to meet up on at least 5 occasions in late May and early June 2017. They met for coffee at Starbucks and for a meal at an American-themed restaurant close to the River Dee in Chester. They went shopping together and spent time in Hartford, a small town 16 miles away. They also went to London together on June the 8th, 2017, and the jury was shown text messages between them arranging to meet up later that day, which they both signed off with a love heart. This certainly doesn't appear to be the behaviour of friends. It reads like more. A handwritten note found after her arrest read, "My best friend, love, I loved you and I think you knew that. I wanted you to stand by me, but you didn't." During cross-examination, Letby was asked why she had tried to leave the dock when the doctor walked into court. "Because I felt unwell," she replied. Mr. Johnson, the prosecutor, immediately snapped back, "No, you didn't like hearing your boyfriend give evidence, did you?" "That's not fair," Letby said, looking at the floor. Records also showed that Letby had searched for his wife on Facebook and had sent him heart emojis in a WhatsApp message. Is this possibly the behaviour of a somewhat immature individual who has a crush on a married doctor and has been taken in by him? Might it be that the doctor is a narcissist that's toying with the emotions of a somewhat naive individual? Or is this a narcissist that isn't recognizing the off-limits nature of another person who is in a relationship and married to somebody else, and is seeking to assert control over him, repeatedly hoovering him and conducting an affair with him? Is it the case that her reaction in court was a consequence of a threat to control posed by the fact that someone who was deemed to be so loyal to her was now threatening control by giving evidence against her? You can make a determination as to what all of that might mean as we start to put the pieces together as to what might actually be going on. Join me next in part 6 as we hear from the police about Lucy Letby and the way that she responded and reacted, so that we can accumulate more evidence to make a determination as to why she did as she did.